music down. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is John. This is my channel, Your Renaissance Man. We're going to talk about some news today. Lots of big things happening, as you are all aware of. A couple topics I want to talk about today is the Air Canada crash in New York, ceasefire in Iran. Yes, ceasefire. Girl murdered in Chicago over the weekend. And ICE is going to come into the airports and help out TSA with TSA duties because as the government shutdown looms into its 30 some days, we got TSA agents that aren't able to do their job anymore because people are quitting and the government shutdown is making a real pain in the butt for the TSA. So we might as well just start there since we've already dove into it a little bit. So today, I don't know if it was today, but anyways, President Trump was asked about it today, and he says I think they announced it before the weekend that ICE would be heading out to the airports today, meaning Monday. Today's March 20th, 2026. And yeah, he says ICE is going to go into the airports to support TSA. It's not, some people are spinning it and trying to get hype about it, saying that ICE is there to do you know, send illegals back and then catch them as they enter the country or that kind of stuff. But no, it's strictly to support TSA because as the government shutdown approaches like around 30 days right now, TSA has not gotten paid at all. I believe as of now, 500 and some TSA agents have walked off the job just due to not being able to pay their own bills and stuff, and they got to take care of themselves. So the government shutdown is taking its impact on our national security because DHS is also under this funding. I think they're not getting paid either, possibly. But anyways, so Trump is sending ICE agents out to the airports to support TSA to help because what's been happening, if you're not traveling lately, is the TSA lines have been extremely slow in some airports where they've been hit the hardest as far as not having as many agents or maybe agents quitting or whatever's going on. And so we're going to try to get the flight times or get the flights, or get the TSA lines moving quicker, I guess is the easiest way to say that. So, yeah, see what happens. See if it's Trump was asked if they were there to arrest illegals. And he says, hey, if they're there and they grab them, yeah, they can grab them if they want. But he says that is not the purpose of them being there. So he was quite clear that this is not a deportation drill of any kind. This is to get people into their flights sooner, so the delay time or so the TSA lines aren't as long. Moving next, let's see what else we got up here. So this is Sheridan Gorman, 18-year-old girl from New York. She's going to college in Chicago, and over the weekend, she was murdered. Let's see. Well, she was murdered by, where's this dirtbag at? There we go. Let's not put him in the same frame. Let's not disrespect Sheridan anymore. So this young gentleman, well, we're not going to call him a gentleman. He doesn't owe that anymore. Let's see. Jose Medina, 25, undocumented, illegal. So yeah, he gunned her down in Loyola, Loyola Park in Chicago. She was out 1:30 a.m. with her friends. And no need to show this dirtbag anymore. So this dude's another guy that's squeaked through the border for there when the border wasn't locked down, unfortunately. And yeah, he gunned her down in a park. She was with friends. 1:30 a.m. in Chicago. He has been apprehended, arrested, and charged. All that happy fun stuff. But here's two bad places to be in the world: Chicago, and then we got undocumented, an illegal immigrant here. I want to say he was from Venezuela, but I'm not 100% on that. Either way, he's another illegal that squeaked through non-vetted. The big thing is about being non-vetted means We don't know this guy's background. Should he be in our country? Is he somebody that's going to make our country better? Do we want him here? That's the vetting process. That's what the administration is trying to do, is just make sure everybody that comes across the border is safe, doesn't have a big criminal background, isn't here to just leech off the system, isn't here to kill our women. This is one of many women that have been killed by undocumented illegals since the border was wide open during the Biden administration. The death count keeps rising. This is a sad thing. We don't want our girls, feeling unsafe. They shouldn't be unsafe. They shouldn't be as, looked at as a soft target or something, or whatever these guys are honing in on. I don't know. I don't want to get into the psyche of these nut jobs. But either way, we got our girls being taken out in our country, and it's not a good thing. Our country used to be a pretty safe place for that. And Chicago, on top of it, is not a safe place. They've got gun crimes going through the roof nonstop, and they don't want help from the feds because it's a Democrat. It's a Democrat shithole now. Chicago is not one of our great cities anymore. And this is just adding to it, showing the incompetence of Pritzker, running Illinois the way he does. And I forgot the mayor's name of Chicago. Doesn't matter. They're a piece of shit anyways. So yeah, tragically, another life lost, another young girl, her life taken by an illegal, undocumented illegal that came across the border during the Biden administration. Got to get these scumbags out of here. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. But anyways, another tragedy today, or actually it was last night. We had a plane crash at LaGuardia Airport. It was flight, let's see, it looks like 2603, and it was an Air Canada flight. Let's see if this plays or not. Let's see if we can hear this. This is the tower audio.
03 Island 4. 2603, stand by. Who's the vehicle needed across the runway? Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
I'm sorry, let's go back here. It's flight JZA646 Air Canada, and the JZ stands for Jazz. It's like one of your smaller airline, or one of your smaller puddle jumpers. I wouldn't say puddle jumper. This is much bigger than that. There was 40 some people on there. When they have these smaller aircraft underneath the same name as the airlines, they're actually operated by independent companies. And so this one is operated by Jazz under the Air Canada. So the name is side of the plane says Air Canada. It's officially an Air Canada flight, but it's operated by Jazz. But this is not something that's related to anything Jazz did wrong, or Air Canada. So this is Jazz 646 coming in for approach. And what happened was, this aircraft struck a fire truck on the runway, unbeknownst to them that the fire truck would be there. And what we're going to listen to is the tower talking with 646 and talking with the fire truck up until the time that the fire truck, or the aircraft, strikes the fire truck.
Island 4. 2603, stand by. Who's the vehicle needed across the runway? Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower. Truck 1 and Company. Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
So that was the fire truck talking to the tower. Flight 646 has already been given permission to land, so they don't know what's going on down there. And the tower just gave permission to Truck 4 to cross at Delta. So Delta is a location on that runway.
1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
So that's Truck 4 confirming that they are now crossing, acknowledging the tower.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please.
So Frontier is another aircraft on the ground that they're given direction to.
Stop, Truck 1. Stop.
That's the tower trying to get the truck to stop, which I think it was called Truck 4. Let's go back to the beginning here.
2603 Island 4. 2603, Who's the vehicle needed across the runway? Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Well, they did say Truck 1 and Company, Guardia Tower, asking for permission to cross at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck.
Okay, so they did acknowledge each other correctly. So Truck 1 is crossing at Delta, crossing the runway that 646 is going to be landing on, or is starting to.
Company crossing 4 at Delta. Frontier 4195 to stop there, please.
Like I said, 4195 is a Frontier flight that's on the ground. Tower is asking that aircraft to hold at a position for now. And now we're going to go back to the fire truck. So this is going to be the Tower asking the fire truck to stop.
Stop, truck 1. Stop. Stop, truck 1. Stop. Bill 2603, go around. Runway heading 2000.
So 2603 is actually another flight that was following 646. And now he's telling 2603 you're no longer allowed to land. Basically telling him to go around.
Yeah, 646. Yeah, 646, I see you collide with vehicle here. Just hold position. I know you can't move. Vehicle's there responding to you now.
So yeah, 646 came in contact with the fire truck head on. I didn't have any photos I could share. So there's plenty floating around. So anyways, the reason the fire truck was there, the fire truck was crossing the runway to go to another part of the airport where a plane had an issue with smoke. It wasn't confirmed if there was a fire or not. It wasn't like a crash landing or anything like that, but truck 1 was going to respond to another situation going on at another, I think it was a United flight. But anyways, so my question right away when I saw it early this morning was, what the hell's a fire truck doing on the runway? And it's because they were called to another situation on the airport with another aircraft that was having reported smoke. So they were responding to a call. So ultimately, I mean, who was at fault? The tower. The tower shouldn't have issued permission to the truck when he had 646 coming in for landing. So I don't know what happened there. Nothing's been divulged yet, but as you can hear, that's the tower communication. And that's exactly what was, verbalized across there. So tower have a lapse in judgment, forget there for a moment that he had a plane coming in, or maybe he thought it was already down. I don't know. It's pure speculation at this point, but it's definitely human error. This wasn't a mechanical issue. This wasn't a pilot error by any means. Pilots they were under the assumption they were landing onto a clean runway. And, in a major airport like this, planes in the air planes coming in got top priority. They're not gonna do last minute maneuvers and tell the plane that's on approach that has permission to land. They got full priority. So the tower should not have sent that truck across, so lapse in judgment, I don't know, but definitely human error. So sad thing. Pilot and the first officer died immediately. You can see in the photographs, I don't have any I can use free, but anyways, there's plenty floating out there. The front of the aircraft is just gone. So it looks like the pilot and the first officer were dead on impact. I believe there was 2 men in the fire truck that are being treated with critical injuries. And then I believe there was 40 some passengers on the passengers on 646, and some are being treated also. But as of now, there was only 2 fatalities. Oh lordy, another sad day. More stuff that shouldn't happen. That's the bad thing, we don't need more stuff that's preventable. We don't need deaths that way. Iran. We woke up to a 5-day peace deal, or I shouldn't say 5-day peace deal, like actually a ceasefire with Iran. I just watched Trump as he was getting on Air Force One, and the press was bombing him with questions about bombing. No pun intended. Bombs are not funny. Anyways, Trump was getting on Air Force One headed to, was it Tennessee or something like that? But anyways, so they were flooding him with questions about this ceasefire in Iran. And some of the questions asked were, who are you talking to? Because what's been reported, a few days ago is pretty much everybody who's in charge, in the Iranian government has been taken out by bombing and all that kind of stuff, that there's nobody alive, that most of the Iranian power, meaning the leadership, is dead. I mean, we're talking like 60, 70 people reported dead. So, um, so, so justly so, the press is wondering, well, who are you talking with that has the power to say that we want to enter into a deal with you? I mean, that's a very valid question. How do we know that you're talking to somebody that can actually say, yeah, we're going to make a deal with you? Because this is on the back of Trump. I think it was on Friday. He said he was going to give Iran 48 hours to come to the table and make a deal, or the U.S. would start bombing their infrastructure, meaning their power grid. And what he meant by that was nuclear power plants. And I think they have 2 or 3 large nuclear power plants that are pretty easy targets. And he says if we couldn't get the Strait of Hormuz opened within 48 hours, he would start bombing their power grid. So, anyways, he Trump claimed that the Iranian government, whoever he thinks is considered to be in charge, but he wouldn't divulge the name, reached out to them wanting to make a deal. So as of now, there is a ceasefire for 5 days, giving the Iranian government and Trump and a chance to come to some sort of agreement. You know, the biggest thing that Trump wants out of this is their weapons, their defense systems, their weapons not being able to go nuclear. He wants their enriched uranium surrendered. He doesn't want them to even possess it. This is what I meant by enriched uranium, is weapons grade uranium for a nuclear bomb or nuclear missile, whatever. Um, Wants them to surrender whatever highly enriched uranium they have. Wants to make sure they're not producing any long range weapons with nuclear, a bit, that are nuclear capable. Um, and Yeah, and also to topple the regime, a regime change. But as for now, the immediate thing is get the Strait of Hormuz open and get oil flowing so we can get oil prices down. And as a result of all this, the oil prices have gone down just as the news is out. Because I mean, honest to God, that's what triggers the oil prices is news. I mean, so you know, crappy media could cause oil prices to go up, being, not being cautious with what you say and just blurting stuff out. But anyways, and that works both ways. But anyways, as of, I think Friday it was, oil prices were around $100 a barrel. And last I checked, let's see if it's still that. It was, I've seen it as low as $87 today. So that's a $10 drop. That's pretty good. That's a pretty big drop. With just the change in news. Let's see if we still got so it was at 87, now it's at 90. And like I said, Friday it was 99, $100, somewhere in there. And just as a point of reference, before we invaded Iran, or before Trump invaded Iran, our government, our army, whatever, military, whatever you want to call it, it was like 100, or before anything happened, it was $66 a barrel. And so with that logic, for us to get our fuel prices back to where it was before we invaded Iran, we would have to get down around 60 some dollars a barrel. So as of now, we're at 90. I mean, these prices fluctuate throughout the day. So this is what it closes at is more symbolic than where it is at any moment in the day. But it's opened up around $87 is what I saw this morning. As of right now, it's just about 90, which is about a $10 drop from Friday. So if it closes out the day around 90 or in the 80s. That's $10 a barrel drop, and just from news of the the apparent peace plan or whatever you want to call it, the agreement to open Hormuz. And he was also asked about who's going to help implement that, keeping the Strait of Hormuz open and make sure it's. And he was very vague on all the details, which he typically is, because he's tired of getting crucified by the media every time he's overly optimistic and puts his it's going to happen. So he doesn't like to put timelines on stuff anymore, guarantees. He generally speaks in roundabout language, saying this is what's in the process, this is the direction we're going now, and we'll see what happens. So he's cautiously optimistic. He just said basically that they're willing to negotiate, they want to negotiate, and so hopefully they come to some sort of terms and agreement. Then put put this war to bed. I mean, that's ultimately what the world needs. We don't need another war that drags on, like the Ukraine and Russia, for example. We don't need that kind of stuff. That it impacts way too much stuff, financially, plus the loss of life. Nobody shouldn't be out killing people just over disagreements. Be wonderful if we could negotiate everything, but negotiate. But Trump's strength through peace if we can't have it our way. So see what happens. But like I said, we had a couple of sad things today. We had, or within the last few hours, Flight 646, Air Canada crashing into a fire truck at LaGuardia. LaGuardia, I believe, is still shut down. I think they might not reopen till Tuesday. So all air traffic. So if you're flying out of LaGuardia, you're no longer flying. If you're expected to fly out today, your flight's been canceled for sure. There's no likelihood that you'll leave from LaGuardia today. Like I said, two have perished so far that we know of. I think there's 40 some injured. I believe the two in the fire truck are okay. Or, well, I shouldn't say okay. They were injured. They're still alive. And then the other big thing, ICE is going to the airports to help TSA to get those TSA lines moving faster. Then the other sad story was Sheridan Gorman here of New York, who was murdered in Chicago by an illegal immigrant that came across the border during the open border deal through the Biden administration. 18 years old, out with her friends. I think it was 1:30 a.m. Saturday morning. Yeah, gunned down for no apparent reason other than happened to be next to near Jose Medina, an undocumented illegal who needs to be sent home. Actually, he needs to be sent to the electric chair as far as I'm concerned, but we don't seem to see corporal punishment for murder anymore. But anyways, that's about all I got. Short today. Our buddy Darwin, he's if you've seen our other videos, Darwin Hallstrom, he's on his catamaran I believe he's headed to Miami first, and then to Bermuda, and then to Northern Ireland. So via his catamaran, and then his ultimate destination, I believe, is Norway. So we'll try to engage with him here if we get a chance, if he gets in a harbor for a little bit, or when he gets to Ireland. We'll see if we can make up contact with him again and talk about world events and that kind of stuff. As for now, I'm just spitballing on video ideas right now. See if what gets traction. I've been wanting to do some public news type stuff, talk, conversation, interviews, government, world politics. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing, doing vlog type stuff. See what works. See what, if anything works. See what sticks. See what gets views. I don't know. We're just gonna give her a shot. Anyways, if you give us a like or a share or a comment, I mean, subscribers helps us the most. So if you can subscribe, that does more than anything for us. If you like this kind of content, though. We're kind of rough around the edges with the flow of our stuff right now because we're still trying to figure out what we're gonna hone in on the most. Ultimately, it's going to be kind of a vlog type style. I just got to figure out what kind of content rings true to you guys and what kind of stuff you like to hear. So anyways, I'm babbling in circles right now. So thank you everybody. If you listened, if you got this far, appreciate you much. Have yourself a good day. Stay safe and God bless.